Kia ora guys and welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max, I'm the host over here at this channel and this is the third to last video I have planned for 2023. So wow, it's been a pretty epic year and I'm going to continue the countdown of the top 100 rugby players in the world in my opinion. A massive thank you as well to my patrons for all the support throughout 2023. This list over here, it's continuing and it should give you I guess a bit of a hint of who's going to appear in my 2023 World 15. So just to remind you as well, these here are the nations who are going to be represented by this top 100 list. I've got through the top 51 already. So for today's video, we are going from 50 through to 26. To open off the list, I have Tom Curry, who South African fans don't particularly like, but my goodness is he very effective on the field. At just 25 years old, he's already got 53 test caps. He didn't get a heck of a lot of game time in 2023, but he was in there for when it counted. He was very, very strong when they needed him to be, and he really recovered from injury to make a huge impact at the World Cup for the English. It was great to see him back. But there are a few more flankers in the world who are better than Curry, and 49th is Charles Olivon of France. Many French fans are saying he's our best flanker since Thierry Dusautoir, and fair enough, he's very, very good. He would have well more than his 39 caps if it weren't for all the horrible injuries he had earlier in his career, and he had a fantastic World Cup, just as Curry did. Mack Hansen is the player I've got at 48th on the list, and he is the best Australian player in the world, but he plays for Ireland because Rugby Australia have a few issues. Mack Hansen is so versatile he can play at 10 from set pieces, even though he's normally stationed on the wing around the field when just things are happening off the top of players' heads. Mack Hansen is so quick, so agile, he's got a great boot, and of course, coming off that wing, like I said before, to become an extra playmaker, it's a massive skill set I think the Wallabies really could have used right now, but nope. Hansen is playing for Ireland, and he's playing beautifully well for them. He deserves to be in this list. So does 47 Rico Ioane. He didn't quite have the same year as he did in 2022, but he was nevertheless very, very good for the All Blacks. I've long been a fan of Ioane, who was re-signed to 2027. I'm sure he's going to become our highest ever try scorer. Now, 46 on the list is Courtney Lawes of England. He played his 111th and final test match this year, and wowzers, England are going to have a massive hole left in their team sheet by the fact that Lawes has just finished off at his 4th Rugby World Cup. This guy is essentially the prototype of several players such as Pieter-Steph du Toit, Charles Olivon, and though he's definitely not the player he was like a couple of years ago or so, he's still very, very excellent and he will be dearly missed from Test Rugby. 45 is Levani Botia, a turnover machine from Fiji. He used to play centre as I've listed on the graphic, but he's been playing flanker for his club and for his national team recently, so even though the guy is like pretty much just an out-and-out centre, he's just such a good jackal option that they had to put him at 7, and it worked out to be an absolute masterclass. He was the only Fijian player at the World Cup born in the 80s. He took all of that experience to the World Cup with him and had a blinder. 44 is Mathieu Jalibert of France. Though he is the second choice player for his national team, the 10 jersey, I mean, come on. He was playing like a World Cup winning 10 for most of 2023 whenever he was getting minutes. Though the way he plays the game, the underdog approach he takes, it can be his biggest strength and his biggest weakness, so that's why I can't put him up any higher. I've now got Sia Khaleesi in at 43. Khaleesi, much like Curry, much like Jalibert, much like a few other players on this list, he didn't quite have the, I guess, amount of game time necessary to get himself into the top 10 or so, but when he came back from injury for South Africa, it was massive. South Africa were absolutely dreadful in the Rugby Championship against the All Blacks. They were very unconvincing against Argentina. And the moment Khaleesi came back, I was like, wow, this is okay. Maybe I jumped the gun by thinking in my head maybe they'll be out in the pool stage. Their chances of winning that World Cup went up by 11-fold, 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-fold with Khaleesi back in because he is such a good leader. His leadership alone would be a good enough reason to place him in the list, but since he's a turnover machine and a very good carrier, there's extra reason to justify his place on the list. Now, 42 is Emiliano Buffelli, very, very good for Argentina, excellent off the boot, excellent on attack, and a great defender. So come on, guys, he has to be here. He has to be either wing or fullback for his team in any given team sheet they've got. Doesn't matter which jersey he's in, 14, 11, 15, he's always in. Now, 41 have got Gregory Aldrit of the French. This guy's absolutely unbelievably good. He's so powerful in the carry. He's brilliant at the breakdown. And of course, I think he should probably take over as the French captain with Dupont about to go off and play sevens. Gregory Aldrit, man, he is going to go down as one of the greats of the game. I don't even have words to describe the rest of them, so let's move on to number 40, Joshua Tuisova. He kind of started as a bit of a winger for Fiji, but much like Levani Botia, who was on the list earlier, well, he's pretty versatile and he did a really good job moving into the midfield now that his passing game has really come along. He's a big boy, 113 kg, but his handling, it's so good. So amazing to see how he's done in 2023. Waisia Niathalevu, though, the fact that he's the Fijian captain, I think just puts him slightly above Tuisova. Both very powerful players, both very quick, but ultimately, Waisia Niathalevu having really good leadership for that team who was, I guess, a team that did a lot better than I expected. That has to just place him above Tuisova because he would have put a lot of work in behind the scenes as well. Now for 38, Marcus Smith, I did rank him as the best 10 in the world last year, but the way Steve Borthwick wants to play the game has brought Marcus Smith down the list quite a fair bit because, well, it's not really a game plan that suits the way Marcus Smith plays. But nevertheless, he just lit up that World Cup in the pool stages, and he also did a really good job covering fullback against Fiji, though he normally plays at fly half, as I got on the graphic. He's already played 30 tests at 24 years old. He's already been on a Lions tour. Though he didn't play a test during the last Lions tour, I am sure we will see him on a Lions tour again. 37 is George North. He was at his 4th World Cup for the Welsh. He has played 121 tests, but he doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon. At just 31 years old, maybe we could even see him, go to a 5th World Cup. It's not out of the question considering Wales have such a small population, so players do tend to get some pretty long careers with Wales. North has absolutely deserved his. He's in his best form for 2 years or so, and so I had to have him on the list. 36, Bongi Mbonambi of South Africa. Yes, South African fans, you can be happy now that I've got Mbonambi higher than Curry. Bongi Mbonambi, one of the best line-out throwers in the world. He is rather in the last few years so though, he's kind of looked like he's teetering off, but he has this immense willpower to just keep playing. He loves his country so much, and even though his body can't really necessarily keep up with his mindset, such an unbelievable growth mindset, such a love for his country, it cannot be overturned by the body slowing down. Bongi Mbonambi, I honestly reckon, could do a Dion Forey for all we care and go to a 3rd Rugby World Cup because he is world class. Now for 35, I have Will Rowlands from Wales. Instrumental to their turnaround from the Six Nations. He's a turnover machine and a tackle machine. Up until Peter Steph du Toit in the World Cup final, Rowlands had made the most tackles in an individual match of this World Cup because he is an absolute workhorse. Luckily, he's going to remain eligible for Wales in 2024 as he's played 29 tests. A lump of a man as well, adding huge bulk in the scrum. He had a massive 2023, as did the Argentinian captain Julian Montoya. Wowzers. If you want to look at an all-round hooker, this is the guy. At 30 years old, at the peak of his career with 95 test caps, there's a possibility of him getting to a 4th World Cup. He knows the stuff around the maul, he knows the stuff in the line-out, he's like an extra flanker in the breakdown, and he loves to make his tackles because he is always out there playing for his country. 33 is Ellis Genge of England, not as good as he was in 2022, but nevertheless, amazing. As the commentators always say, this man is the baby rhino. He just carries with such passion at 28 years old. I'm so shocked he just hasn't been on a Lions tour yet. Honestly, get him on the plane to Australia for 2025. Now, Ethan de Groot though, have to have him above Ellis Genge. Ethan de Groot, man, he saved our country. I was genuinely afraid we would go out in the quarterfinals, but with this guy and Tyrell Lomax, who was further down the list, with these two guys as our 2 starting props, Our pack has been so rejuvenated. Even though De Groot did get a red card during the pool stages, he was just like, nah, it's all good. I'm going to play where it matters. I'm going to get my redemption. Every time his back's against the ball, he just plays absolutely out of his skin. He's a tackle machine. He's a turnover machine. And of course, he is very, very hard to bring down. Though he is big, he is very fit, and he is a huge asset to any team he plays for. 31 is Franco Mostert, the tall timber of South Africa, able to play at both blindside flanker and lock. He's very, very nimble, very agile, and with 73 tests under his belt at 32 years old, I can't think of many more locks who deserve to win 2 World Cups more than Franco Mostert. Very much like Mbanambi, he plays with a lot of heart, and this is the kind of player who just has that follow me attitude that he's kind of learned off Khaleesi. We now go to number 30, it's Hugh Jones of Scotland. Wowzers, this guy is absolutely world class. He's pretty much the best all-round centre you can think of right now. He's got a very wide skill set with his kicking game, his passing game. He's very, very quick despite being 29 years old, despite being at an age where pace starts to teeter off from professional athletes. Hugh Jones is also a very, very good tackler, as you will see in a future video of mine. He had an epic Six Nations, he stood out at the World Cup as well. He was always trying to get Scotland back on the front foot, so I have to have him on the list. Another player I have to have on this list, it is Sam Whitelock. In my humble opinion, he's the greatest player to ever play this game. The fact that Whitelock was on the bench for the World Cup final and the World Cup quarterfinal, it sums up pretty much everything wrong with the Ian Foster era. Whitelock, despite being an absolute workhorse, going from the living highlight reel in the earlier stages of his career to just this gigantic mammoth of a man who will just put you on your backside if you're trying to run at the fringes of the breakdown. Crazy, honestly. There's too many words I've got to talk about Whitelock with. This guy made a 3rd World Cup final, the first male player to do it. He's won 2 World Cups. He's got a bronze, he's got a silver, 4 World Cups, medals from all of them. Amazing strike rate. Come on, guys. This guy deserves far more respect, and he is 29th on my list, having just retired from international rugby with 153 test caps. There is no guy who deserves to be the All Blacks' most capped ever player than Sam Whitelock. Now for the number 28, Duhan van der Merwe of Scotland. He is the one that got away from South Africa, though I do have a few more South African players further up the list. Duhan van der Merwe would have added a lot to their attack, man. His frame of 6'4", 96 kgs, very big, very powerful, but also really, really agile. In his 38 tests, he has shown so many great acrobatic skills in the air, on the wing. At 28 years old, he's at the peak of his powers. Let's just continue enjoying this guy as much as we can. Now for number 27 is Antoine Dupont. Probably going to annoy a few French fans over here, but he looks like a guy with a bit of pressure on his shoulders, so I didn't want to put him up too high because, you know, that trip to the Olympics he's about to have, I think he really needs it to rejuvenate himself. He remains one of the best halfbacks in the world, but he is starting to, I think, feel just too much responsibility in that French team, and it's kind of not allowing him to play with that free-flowing attitude he had really, really early in his test career. So hopefully he finds it so he can get back into the top 5 for 2024. Now to finish off today's video, I'm going to make a massive shout out to Amato Fakatava, one of my followers on Instagram. I've got him ranked 26th place in the top 100 players in the world. After I followed him, I was like, oh damn, this guy's really good. Look at his highlight reel, awesome. And every time Tonga named a squad, I'm like, whoa, why is Amato Fakatava not in Tonga's team? Turns out he was like, no, I want to play for Japan, and Japan, quite simply put, desperately needed this guy. They needed his power in the set piece, they needed his agility in the line out, and of course, all 6'5", 118 kilograms of him has got 5 tries from 7 test caps for the Japanese. It's very hard to find players who are just so physically dominant like this for the Japanese. He has really helped them in a huge time of need, in a huge time of crisis, and thanks to this guy alone, they were able to place third in their group and get automatic qualification for 2027 in Australia. Now that my face is back on the camera completely, I just want to give one more thank you to my patrons and remind you guys as well, do comment your thoughts down below, like the video and subscribe to me if you enjoyed it. I'll try to reply to as many comments as I can, as I've just got a few more videos to do before I head off on a holiday for the rest of the year. Thank you so much for watching this channel, guys. I really appreciate it. As always, cheers for watching from Max.